p.m. on the dot Mountain Time, so I hope everyone was able to get logged in. I want to go over a couple of housekeeping items here quickly. So as you entered into the meeting here, all of you guys were automatically muted. This is because we don't want background noise. We want to make sure that everyone can hear very clearly. So I'm asking that the only people to unmute themselves will be from our panelists here, okay? There will be an opportunity for you all to ask questions. So if you scroll with your mouse or if you're on your phone, there will be a little message icon. If you click that icon, you'll be able to type in your message that you can either pose to myself or to our panelists. And as time permits, we will get to those questions. If we don't have time to get to those questions, or the questions that you have are very individualized and wouldn't kind of benefit the whole group, I will give you my information afterwards, my email afterwards, so that you can reach out to me individually and we can talk more on an individual basis here. Additionally, I want you to know that this is going to be recorded. We have invited many students across the country to take part in this panel. However, because of school schedules and just 2020 life right now, many people haven't been able to jump on at this time. So we will be recording this. So just want to give you all a heads up as well. So if you would choose to, you don't have to share your screen. We'll just have our panelists sharing their camera so that they can take up a majority of our screen here. So like I said, my name is Amber Fox. I am a talent development manager with JBS. Thank you all so much for taking this time to hear more about the company, to hear more about our opportunities. Typically we are on campus and we're getting to meet all of you in person. That is just not the way the world is going right now. So we're doing an additional plan of virtual recruiting here and kind of talking to you guys in a capacity that we can. So that is where this panel session has come from. We've also found that being on campus, our biggest asset are people that went through these programs. So this panel is consisting of people that are in our major business units. So that would be beef, poultry, pork. And then we have someone from Plumrose, which is a business unit that we don't hear a lot from, but definitely a business unit to educate you guys on. And many of them have gone through either our internship, our management trainee program, or a combination of both of them. So you'll be able to hear more about them, their journey, and kind of where they're at in their careers now. For those of you that don't have kind of a background knowledge of JBS, so JBS is the world's largest animal protein processor. We are #1 in beef. We're #2 in poultry and pork. In the US alone, we employ over 100,000 team members. We have over 100 plus facilities and we're located in 27 states. So with our industry, there's quite a bit of job security. There's quite a bit of growth opportunity. And demographic wise, 27 states, that's a majority of the country here. So we have great opportunities just throughout the country. At JBS, our mission statement is rather large, but to kind of sum it up for you guys, we want to be the best in all that we do. We want to create an opportunity of a better future for all of our team members. And what goes into that is we have a robust development plan for people. We have many programs that they can be a part of. And two of the programs that we have are programs that you'll hear about today. So our internship and our management trainee program. The internship is a 10-week paid internship. If you have to relocate for this opportunity, you would be provided with either housing or relocation assistance. You get hands-on industry experience. You get to own your own project, and you'll have a mentor to help you so that you can successfully complete that project. You are evaluated throughout your program. So it doesn't just help to give you a project and say, hey, good luck to you. We want to provide you feedback. We want to make sure that you're growing. This is not the internship that you're going to be getting coffee and making copies. If that's what you're into, this is not it. We're going to put you to work. You are going to work very hard. We're going to bridge the gap from what you're learning in the classroom to actual hands-on industry experience here. Another great thing about the internship is if you are a high performer, we will invite you to be considered to be part of the management trainee program. All of the people on our panel today have come from the management trainee program, so they'll be able to give you a little bit of what that perspective looked like from them. But the management trainee program is a 12-month rotational program. Your rotations are based off of business need and your skill set. So what did you study in school? What have you done internships in? What have you learned? Where do you want to build your career? Just like the internship, you will have a project and a mentor in each rotation. There are multiple steps where you will get evaluated. And in the management trainee program, we're going to evaluate your performance, but we're also going to evaluate your culture fit and your alignment with our 7 values that we have. We want to make sure that we're creating and maintaining a culture and hiring people that are promoting that culture. So there will be assessments on that yearly. And then you will have 3 week-long leadership sessions. It's only fair that if we put you into this program and the expectation is for you to be a future leader, that we give you the resources that you need to be in a leadership role. Like I said, all of the panelists today have come from either one of these programs or both of these programs. So now we'll go ahead and kind of introduce our panelists here. So we'll go in order. Jimmy, we'll start with you, then Mariah, Tom, and then Michelle. So if you all can start and just tell us your name, your school, your major, how long you've been with the company, and your current role.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jimmy Sias. I work at the Greeley Beef Facility. I went to Texas Tech. I studied agriculture economics as an undergrad. I did agribusiness for my master's. I've been with the company now just about 4.5 years, and I currently work in the co-products rendering and hides area.
Hello, everyone. My name's Mariah Penick. I got my bachelor's of science from Morehead State University, and then I got my master's in meat science from Purdue University. I was in Jimmy's class, so I've been with the company also 4.5 years. And my current role right now is I'm an innovation manager for Pilgrims, which is in their research and development department.
All right, my name is Tom Holloway. I went to the University of Missouri, Mizzou. My major was food science. I was in the same class as Mariah and Jimmy, so I've been with the company for about 4 years or so. And I'm our expense control manager in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hey everyone, my name is Michelle Harper. I went to K-State and my bachelor's degree was in HR management, and then I got my master's in business administration. I was a part of the trainee class that started in January of 2019. So this coming January will be 2 years at the company. And I actually just transitioned into a new role. So I'm an HR manager of our new facility in Moberly, Missouri.
Great. Thank you all for those introductions. When I talked a little bit earlier about the background of the company, I talked about how we're #1 in beef, we're #2 in pork and poultry, and then our 4th business unit that's on the call here, Michelle, represent Plumrose. For those of you that are not familiar with what that means or what these business units are, each of them will kind of take a minute to give you a little bit of an overview of their business unit, talk about some major customers and any fun facts that they feel would be helpful for you all as you're building your career now. So Jimmy, I'll go ahead and start with you as well.
Okay, so in the beef unit, I mean, our plants are slaughter plants. So live cattle come into the plant, they're skinned, they're split, they go into a cut floor. We take those cuts of the muscle cuts, put them in the bag, and it goes out to the customer. Being obviously fed beef, our biggest customers are a lot of domestic, major retailers like Kroger's, Safeway. We sell to Albertsons over on the East Coast. Pretty much any major grocery store chain would probably be buying some of our product. We also do a significant amount of export. So a big part of the fed beef bottom line comes from export products that go overseas. We send a lot of volume to Asia, Japan, Thailand are very big consumers of beef, Korea. We've also been moving into Mexico, trying to open up some South American customers. And then I guess, yeah, that's the beef business. Is there other question? I got the little thing. I just didn't know how far I was supposed to go.
Nope, that's great, Jimmy. Mariah, let's hear about poultry.
All right, the two-leggers. So Pilgrims, as Amber was saying, we are number 2 in the U.S., but globally we are our global leader. As far as poultry, if you're not aware or familiar with vertical integration, that means that it's all streamlined and we own everything from start to finish. So Pilgrims owns the hatcheries where the birds that we finish out are raised. We own the feed mills that, we feed the broilers to finish them out. We have service techs that are out there making sure that the birds are being raised humanely and handled correctly in order to be, effective and have that growth rate that we're looking for in industry. And then as well, the biggest and probably most important part is the processing function. So overall, we've got 39 plants across the country. That is including Mexico as well, predominantly in the South because the birds really aren't too fond of super cold weather, and they can't really grow very thick coats. So we've got lots of plants. Within our plants, it's not just that we're growing one size bird, we're growing a variety because we are very diversified in our customer base. So we have our small birds that are predominantly going to our fast food restaurants like KFC, Chick-fil-A. A lot of people are pretty fond of Chick-fil-A. We are a big portion of their business, providing them their chicken. We've got medium-sized birds, which is what you usually see retail-wise. So our customers are people like Walmart, Kroger's, Publix, pretty much any of the big major retailers, Albertsons. And then you have your food service segment that are a lot of your Sysco's and your Airmarks, any of your catered or contracted food, and that's what your commercial plants are going to be. So your big birds, and those sometimes it looks a little confusing. They almost look like turkeys going down the line, but very diversified and pretty complex within the poultry industry. But that's pretty much Pilgrims in a nutshell.
All right, thanks, Mariah. Tom, let's hear about pork.
All right, so in pork, we have 6 plants. We just purchased one. It's actually not a production facility. It mainly does like boxing and value added. But our 5 main slaughter facilities, we produce around 90,000 head a day. That's about 21% of the market share in the United States. We are the 2nd largest for pork. Some of our biggest supplier is Costco. So we supply all of Costco's pork. So we have a close relationship with Costco. Basically, whatever they need us to do, we're going to do it for them. That's about 20 to 25% of all of our production goes to Costco. And then Sysco is a big one as well. And then other, grocery store, Kroger, Publix, those are all customers as well. We also have international. We currently ship out to about 26 countries, spanning over 5 continents. And that's pretty much pork breakdown.
Thanks, Tom. And then one of the business units that we haven't heard a lot of, it's actually one of our newer business units, which is Plumrose. So Michelle, why don't you tell us a little bit about Plumrose?
Yeah, so we were acquired by JBS back in 2017, so we are pretty new to the company. We are fairly small when compared to the other business units. Right now, we've got 6 different plants, and we're working on building a 7th one. And then we also just announced that we're going to be building an 8th facility as well. And so what makes us unique when compared to the other JBS business units is that we focus on the prepared foods or just the further processing of the meat. So none of our facilities are slaughterhouses or kill facilities. Our main products are bacon, sliced deli meat, canned hams. We also do barbecue items like ribs. And then our main customers are some of those big retailers like Kroger, Walmart, HEB, Costco, and Sam's. And so something that's kind of also unique about Plumrose is we like to say that we're more of a startup business. So since we're smaller, we're a lot more agile. We can move quickly. So lots of change is always occurring within Plumrose, which is very exciting. And I definitely enjoy it for sure.
Awesome. Thank you all for the background of your business units. I think it helps put in perspective for someone that maybe isn't so familiar with the industry. Maybe they're kind of getting a new introduction to our industry, or maybe our company as a whole. You know, JBS isn't a name that you see on products if you go to the grocery store. However, many of you touched on some of our major customers are people that we consume every day. You know, Chick-fil-A, I know Mariah, you talked about that. I love Chick-fil-A a little too much, but you know, a lot of these customers, Costco, Publix, Kroger, a lot of these places are in our everyday life, but JBS logo isn't on them. So thank you for bringing that to people's households and letting them know that our brand is actually something that they're very familiar with. So want to talk to you guys a little bit about where you started out with the company. So what role did you start out in? What was kind of your career trajectory to get you to where you're at right now? And if you guys are okay with it, I'll kind of go ahead and stay in the same order that you guys have answered previously.
Okay, so I guess it was 2014. I actually did 2 internships with the company. 2014 was my first one, coming from Texas Tech, pretty regional plant location was Cactus. So I started in operations as an intern, made it out to the floor, very hands-on experience. So my manager really didn't tell me so much, here's what you're going to go do, here's how you're going to do it. I think he more so just took the shock and awe he could see out of my face as I walked through the facility for the first time and said, I need you just to learn the process. And, you know, one thing that these plants don't have is a lot of higher educated people. So sometimes a new set of eyes to come in and just learn the basics of the process. You don't have to learn the high level stuff. Just figure out the base level of it first. That's what I did in my first summer. I really just learned about the volume of the business and how a couple pennies here and a couple pennies there, when put out on a per head basis and extrapolated over whatever volume a plant is going to run, really adds up. It's a huge bottom dollar opportunity that you can either make or break just by understanding those finer details of the process. My experience there, though, didn't really appeal as far as I didn't want to be an ops guy forever. So I went ahead and ventured into a corporate role. I was given an opportunity based on the business need that gave me a shot to work at the corporate office and work with the procurement department for basically supplies. So equipment, motors, anything that we use to run the plant day to day. Very eye-opening experience to see how differently corporate would manage a set of what was at the time like 50 plants versus how one plant would try to manage their own operation. You get a lot of kind of one size fits all approaches that should be helping and should be simple, and then you actually go down to the plant and you do the legwork where I had been, and you see that there is a little bit of a gap. So the corporate side of things really kind of opened up my eyes to what the company had to offer as a whole. The plant side of things showed me basically where the rubber meets the road, what the boots on the ground got to do to get the job done. When I did come back, I actually went back into operations. I just looking at that bottom line opportunity, I felt like there was a huge opportunity for growth and to expand my skill set and to make a pretty big impact on the bottom dollar from an operations front as opposed to a corporate front. And then just as a trainee working through the plant, Amber mentioned the 12-month rotation. I got to see a lot of things on all sides of the plant. I worked a little bit with the administrative side. Ultimately, where I kind of fell into is with our drop credits. And I mentioned how we kill a cow and ship out beef cuts to grocery stores. Well, everything that the human can't eat still has to be processed, still has to go somewhere. And that's the business that I kind of decided to go into. And with that, I had a chance to be a third shift supervisor as a trainee. I got to run the area, shut it down, manage the people. I worked with hides. So I went over to our tannery where we finished leather and got to see some of that. My biggest long-term job as a trainee was as TQM. I worked over a lot of performance measurement, but started to put all of those numbers together from the higher level. And now as a department manager, I get to act upon those numbers and try to figure out what I wanted to do when I first signed on.
All right. It's a tough one to follow. Jimmy's done a lot. So I did not do a summer internship with the company. I would have loved to. I actually was like majority of the population. I didn't know who JBS was or what they did until I actually was presenting my grad student research at RNC, and then I had met a talent development manager like Amber at the career fair there, and was just really intrigued by what the JBS trainee program had to offer. So I interviewed, obviously I got the position, and I went down to Nacogdoches, Texas, where I was at one of our Pilgrims facilities. It was a commercial plant, so kill facility. We did some IF, and then a lot of combo further processing is what we sent our products off to be. So starting as a brand new trainee, I had no clue about the poultry industry. We had chickens in our backyard, and that was really the extent of my knowledge. So obviously showing up to the plant was very eye-opening, just how efficient and how fast-paced everything was. I mean, obviously chickens are a fraction of the size of pigs and cattle. So, I mean, it doesn't take us long to go from kill all the way to shipping the product out the door, ready to be shipped out of the door. So just, amazing how fast and how efficient and, ethical everything was. So I spent about 6 months at the plant. Really, those first 2 months were just going around going through the rotations of learning what each department of the plant did, how that influences, because everything it's a domino effect. If they're having issues, in EVAs or evisceration, then debone's going to be locked up, and they're going to be standing there waiting for chicken to come down the line to cut. So very interesting to see how systematic and how everything works and is placed hand in hand together. The other really neat and interesting thing that I got to do during my trainee program and during the rotations was I got to see and be exposed to that live side as well. So that's kind of a unique factor that the poultry and the swine industry has is, like I mentioned before, we're vertically integrated. So we got to I didn't spend it a substantial amount of time, but I got to see the feed mill, how that works, how they put together those rations, how do they determine what they're doing there, all the way, from the hatchery, how they're doing vaccinations, if they're having to do any, how they're sexing the birds, the incubation periods, everything's so scientific and very extremely detailed. It's not just we've got a bunch of hens laying on the chicks waiting to grow up and be market weight. Very, very, very intricate and very detailed. So that was my rotation. So the first 2 months, like I said, rotating, really learning the business. And then I was really drawn towards HR. So I'm also in the National Guard, and that's what I do on the Army side as an HR officer. So HR kind of spoke to me and pulled at my heartstrings. That's where I could kind of see myself going as a career path. So I worked on a couple different projects working with our HR manager there at the plant. And then after about 6 months, I got the opportunity to come up to the corporate office and work hand in hand with our head of HR for Pilgrims, Lisa Burdick, which was also, a fantastic opportunity to see, like what Jimmy was saying, at the corporate office, we're implementing policies and we're doing things, trying to streamline and make it easier for the plants and trying to address those gaps and make it as simple as possible. But like we know, there's no silver bullets in life. So, the job never ends, especially in HR. After that, I actually took a position as a talent development manager on the culture and talent team. I was extremely passionate about the internship program, extremely passionate about the JBS trainee program and our other developmental programs that the company offers. And I really, love the campus recruiting when it was actually in person. I'm sure this is still super fun too. But my background really was in research, and I did, I was missing that factor of that meat science aspect to the HR role. So Pilgrims actually expanded their R&D team, which I transitioned into a food technologist. So really, I got to eat chicken tenders for about 2 years, and it was pretty awesome. It's not a bad day at work when you get to actually taste what you're making and sending off to customers and seeing something that you developed, start from finish, end up on the retail shelves. So really cool experience, which I recently R&D addressed that we need a better way to build our pipeline for innovation to keep developing those new products and have them being successful. So our innovation team just came to light this last 2 weeks. So innovation manager is a brand new role for me. Very excited. It'll kind of take all the multiple factors of working with people and having that R&D background, and we'll see. You never know. So that's me.
All right, so my path was a lot easier than Jimmy and Mariah's. I kind of went straight from the trainee into my job. But so I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'd had no experience with any type of production facilities. So moving to Marshalltown, Iowa after college was definitely a big culture change. And then first day, watched a couple of videos, and they throw me out in the barn. So I enjoyed it, though, getting to learn all the different areas that I had no experience with, in the barns, kill floor, cut floor, all the different areas that we have people, and we have a lot of knowledge out there on the floors. So every area I went to in production, I would try to run the line. Not very successfully in most cases, but I'd always try to get hands-on, work with the different team members. And as Jimmy said, you do have a lot of different perspective being a college graduate versus some of our guys that have been a supervisor for 30 years and have all the knowledge, but different way of thinking about things. So it's great to kind of combine that knowledge that you have from school with the PhD that they have, the packing house degree. So the next step was kind of just, what did I want to do? I still wasn't really sure. So I tried to get involved with everything. I tried to help out anywhere I could. If it was running a report for somebody who didn't want to run an Excel file, creating a PowerPoint for HR if they didn't have the time to do it. There's no manual for the trainee program. So I just tried to do as much as I could to try to stay as involved as I could to eventually maybe find something that fit well with my interests and also could help the company. So the position I ended up accepting was expense control manager. So that's kind of a combination between operations and the business side. So I manage our entire operations budget. So I'm out on the floor some of the time. I'm in the office some of the time. So having that experience in the trainee program of out on production makes it easy for me to talk with production supervisors, superintendents. So it's not just like I'm some guy sitting behind a computer, doesn't know what I'm talking about. You have to have that experience to be able to get some of the respect and kind of help build your projects. Most of the best projects that you'll find come from asking a long-term hourly, what's causing you an issue? And usually then you can find something, that issue is probably something that's helped making us be not as efficient. So I've been an expense control manager now for 4 years, always trying to learn more. With a food science background, I didn't really have necessarily all the business side of it, but I kind of had the desire to want to learn about it. And now I'm actually in the online MBA program through JBS with Colorado State. So there's a little plug for that as well. But just trying to always learn and always trying to be better. But yeah, mine was pretty easy. I trainee program to my job now. So and then hopefully stay here for a little bit longer and then move up. So that's me.
And then for my journey so far, mine's a little bit backwards from everyone else on the panel. I actually started off as a corporate trainee, and I was based out of the Chicago office, which is the headquarters for Plumrose. And before accepting the position, I actually had never heard of JBS, kind of like Mariah had said. I wasn't really familiar with them. I actually have no background in agriculture. I wasn't raised on a farm or anything like that, so it was a completely new industry for me, which was exciting. And when I was in the trainee role, I was in that position for about 8 months. I got to travel to all of our different plants, really learn the business since I was so new to it all. It was really just trying to be a sponge and soak it all in and understand it. And then the projects I was given, I think what was the coolest thing for me about the trainee program was that the projects aren't just a simple little task. They really do trust you with some big items. And you kind of get to make the program what you want out of it. So for me, my focus was on the HR side of things. And so I wanted to get exposure to all the different areas of HR. So I got exposed to the compensation side, to the plant side of things, to recruiting, to onboarding. And then about 8 months into the trainee program, there was a new position that was created at the corporate office, and it was for a recruitment manager. And my mentor came to me and told me about the position. And one of my mottos is, which I actually got from the trainee program, is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And when she presented me with this recruitment manager role, it completely intimidated me. I said, there's no way I can manage a recruitment process, create it, and do it for an entire business unit. And because it seemed like such a scary opportunity, I said, all right, I'll just jump feet first and just go for it. So I was in that role for a little while until I just moved into the HR manager for our new plant. So with Plum Rose, we're always growing. Lots of changes are happening, kind of like I said earlier. So in that recruitment manager process or role, I got to create sort of the flow chart and a centralized recruiting model for the organization, which I thought was an amazing experience. I got exposure to all the different departments and just areas of Plum Rose, and then also JBS overall. And I think that was also one of my favorite aspects of it, was just the connections you make with the trainee program. I got to ask people, hey, what was your experience at your business unit in the recruitment process? And just to get some general feedback, and also from the Greeley office as well. So once I transitioned out of the recruitment manager role, I'm now in the HR manager position for our new plant. So it's not even built yet. It's in progress. So lots of back end work, still lots of learning. So mine is a little bit unique in that I started in corporate and then moved to the plant. And I'm just excited to see where it'll go from here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I'm sure you guys talking about where your career started kind of took you down memory lane and thought about, oh my gosh, did I sleep at any part while that was going on? You guys have been so busy with so many different roles, just learning many different things, adding value in a different way. What I love about what many of you guys talked about is a lot of the opportunities that you're in right now or that you've had throughout your career were not even opportunities that we knew about when you first started out the program. And I think that's what's so amazing about this company is because we continue to do acquisitions and we continue to build teams like R&D, and we continue to have new locations come up, new opportunities come up for people. And if you're willing to work hard and you have that initiative, you know, Tom talked about getting his further education through our CSU education program. You know, if you're someone that's willing to continue to grow and work hard, those opportunities become available to you. Jimmy talked about multiple internships, management trainee program, going to corporate, going back to the plant. Because he said yes to all of these opportunities, he's been able to see some really great stuff on the beef side of the business unit and truly position himself to really build a career on the rendering side of the business as well. I think something that all of them have in common is they said yes to new opportunities and learning new things. Jimmy, I want to start with you for some more personalized questions. So since you were able to have multiple internships, management trainee program, corporate, back to the plant, that's a lot of different relationships you were able to build. That's a network that you were able to build throughout your whole career now with JBS. How has that impacted where you're at or just any learnings that you've had?
It's everything. So I'm a pretty big believer in just building up people through experience and getting them to where they are over time. Nothing happens overnight. But you draw on experiences to give you not only knowledge of situation, but also people that can help you sort things out. It's like old Henry Ford said, he wasn't the smartest guy in the room. He just knew all the smartest guys in the room. So having that chance to have gone through the Cactus Beef Plant, I saw a lot of people there, and some of them have promoted up to corporate. In fact, the HR director that recruited me in Cactus moved to Greeley by the time I had come on here. So actually the guy who hired me continues to be my HR director to this day. And he's been one of those guys, he's like the ace in the back pocket. You know, anytime I need something, I go to him, and he's seen me come up from the start. So he'll do just about whatever it is that he knows he can do to help me out. And but it doesn't stop just with what's at your plant. The time that I got to spend up at corporate, I met a lot of people up there. And also the time that we spent in those training sessions in Colorado and getting to meet some of the faces of this company. They're all resources. And at the end of the day, my job is never any easier if I don't get new people to come in and help me out. And I think all of these executives think the same way. You know, the Tim Shell Peppers and all the guys that are up at the top of their business units, they know that they need people like us to come in and run it. So they're very willing to engage us. And then I'd heard a couple of times, you know, give us chances to go do things. They want to see those bright young minds take a step forward. So the experiences that you can leverage out of coming through a program like this and to help you build yourself up, not just for that moment or that week, but 6 months down the line, has been huge for building up skill set and everything else.
Awesome. I think something that Jimmy was probably pretty humble about too is because of a lot of those networking opportunities he's done, he's been a part of some really big meetings now, and he's had some great opportunities. And because of some speaking engagements and things like that, his name is now part of some really great conversations as we build you know, our strategy going forward. So Jimmy's a pretty humble guy. He would have never said that, but his network has been very beneficial for him. Absolutely. Mariah, I want to go ahead and move to you. I know you talked about having a military background. And a lot of what I know about the military is they ingrain leadership in a lot of their trainings. So what made you kind of go from the military to a management trainee program over maybe just a full-time opportunity, since you already had some leadership training?
Well, the military leadership training, you know, you're absolutely right. You're training, you're continuously learning in the military, but it wasn't something, you know, that I saw myself doing day in and day out. Obviously, if my unit gets mobilized and we go, then that's what we will be doing. But, you know, especially getting ready to graduate grad school, I still really didn't have a clear, okay, this is what I want to be when I grow up, you know, idea. And I had never in a million years would have thought that I'd, you know, had gotten the opportunity to be in HR, to help go on campuses and recruit, to R&D, to do pilgrims, you know, eating chicken tenders all day long, to now what we're doing is developing new projects. The military, I mean, the leadership style that I got there helped me learn in a lot of ways of how I didn't want that type of leadership, that I didn't want to be. And that was one of the things that really resonated with me, was the company's values. And, you know, their leadership style was more of what I saw, the type of leader I wanted to be. You know, in the military, it's, you know, you're voluntold to do things. There's really not a lot of volunteering going on. It's more of a, you will do this and you will like it, versus, you know, JBS, you have those options. And that was one of the things that I really found attractive about the company, and just all the different opportunities. And yeah, I had a feeling when I even just meeting at the career fair and learning about the program itself, that this was a right fit versus, you know, pursuing a full-time career in the military. By no means, I still love what I do, but it's once a month, you know, versus day in, day out. So.
Mariah, you touched on something really, really great there too, as you talked about the opportunities. And I think in your career path, going from, you know, seeing the live side of poultry, being in the actual plant, doing HR, and now being in research and development, you know, those are things that kind of broadened your perspective and kind of help you put together what you want to do as an adult, right? But all of those things were very challenging for you, and kind of pushed you. They gave you a better perspective of what the industry could offer you, so that you could put your career together as well. So I love that you brought up opportunities. Tom, I'm going to go ahead and move to you. You talked about how you had kind of a direct path from the management trainee program into the position that you're at right now. How do you feel like the program impacted or kind of helped develop you to get you ready to the position that you're in right now?
Yeah, so if I were to try to just go straight out of college into the role I'm in now, I would not be successful. Getting to see the entire plant, getting to see all the operations aspect, I could learn how to make a budget just by, going from college straight to making a budget, but making a good budget or finding good cost savings projects, you need to understand the basics of the operations and be able to, speak with the guys out on the operational floor. At the end of the day, operations is where we make all of our money. So the rest of us are just there to help support and have our operations team be as successful as possible. And also a big thing, like Jimmy mentioned, it's the connections you make with your classmates in the trainee program and also in the plant. So in my time, I worked for a GM who is now the VP operations for pork. I worked for another GM, and then the GM I had now was my HR director when I was in the trainee program. So I had two GMs and a VP operations that I worked closely with, and getting to meet all the different departments. These plants are 2,000 people. It's almost like a small city. So getting to meet all these different people and then having those connections for the rest of your career really helps out. And, reaching out and being, hey, I have a question on this. So the training program is very important for that, getting to learn everything about the business before you kind of get specialized more in your area.
Great. Tom, you actually brought up a really great point. We've received a couple questions around, do you have to be in the management trainee program to work full-time for the company? And the answer truly is no. Many people actually start their career in a full-time direct hire capacity. The nice thing about the management trainee program is it truly gives you that leadership experience, and it gives you the rotations where you can build your network. It's what Tom and Jimmy have talked quite a bit about, but it also gives them the skill set to move into that position that they want to move into. So for a direct hire role, you don't get those rotations. You go directly into your position, and that's kind of where you're at until you decide to maybe try for a promotion or look for something else within the company. The management trainee program really works on developing your leadership skills, and the purpose of the program is to hire our future leaders. So it's giving that skill set to the trainees so that in however many amount of years it takes them to get to that position, they have the skills and resources they need to be future leaders. Everyone on this panel right now has had tremendous career growth so far, and they continue to position themselves in a way that they can only continue to grow within the company with how successfully they're performing. So I think that's probably the benefit of the management trainee program. It's not the only way to get your foot in the door to the company, but it's probably a quick way to get on the management radar to get into a leadership role.
And another good thing is JBS is such a large company that even if you're in the trainee program, maybe the job you really want isn't open at your plant. There's so many opportunities, different plants, business units, that you're not just stuck waiting forever to move up behind one guy. If you're willing to move around, there's opportunities everywhere.
Yeah, great addition, Tom. Thank you. Michelle, I'm going to move to you. You talked about not really knowing a lot about the industry before you came to JBS. I was very similar to you. I was a psychology major. And so the ag industry was not on my radar. I knew I loved hamburgers, but I knew nothing about it outside of that, right? So tell us a little bit about, you're building your career in HR. How did you choose this program? How did you choose this industry when really it's probably not something that was pitched to you when you were a student as an option?
Yeah, definitely. So how I heard about JBS was through a career fair, and one of the recruiters that was there simply just smiled at me, and I thought, you know what, I'll go over, talk to her, see what this is about, and that's where I was introduced to the JBS mission and also the values, which I think were the biggest items that really stuck out to me. So being passionate about HR to me means being passionate about people. And as I was going through the interview process, one of the people that I was interviewing with had said that Andre, the CEO of JBS USA, had said that the three most important things to him for the company are people, people, and people. And so that really resonated with me because that's essentially what I'm looking for in a career with HR, and I mean, even just a job in general, is finding somewhere where a company truly values and puts their time, energy, effort, money towards their people and further developing them. And so as I was going through the interview process for the trainee position, every interviewer that I came into contact with, or anyone within the company in general, really kind of just showed through those values. And I could see that what they're saying, they're not just saying it, they're actually living it. And I could see that the different areas of HR that I was passionate about, I was able to still get those within this industry. And like I said, it's something that's new and it was uncomfortable to me, but I thought, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I mean, why not? Being in a year-long program, I knew I would have great exposure to the business. I like the idea of the rotational aspect of it, and knowing kind of what Tom had said, that you're not stuck in a spot. And that was really appealing to me as well, is that there's some flexibility with it. And I mean, if you were to tell me 2 years after graduating college that I was going to be an HR manager for a plant, I would say, no way. Like, no way, that's not going to happen. So it's just an incredible opportunity in an area to just get your foot in the door and just to start learning and building those leadership skills. And I think the trainee program does a great job of providing that through the different training sessions that they offer and having the mentor program. There's just different avenues that you can navigate through trainings or whatnot, workshops, to where they'll give you the knowledge and the skills you need in order to be successful. So it was sort of the overall package of all those items that really convinced me this is the right career path. And then on top of that, knowing that I'm a part of an organization where we're helping to feed America. And that's just intrinsically rewarding as well. So that's why I decided to go with it.
Awesome, Michelle. I love that. I think we continue to hear about the population is only increasing right now, and the world is not getting larger as much as we need for it to. And so the fact that we have the humble job of feeding the world, especially with what's going on in the world right now, it has been so important right now, not only for job security, but I think just in wanting to add value. I think each of us want to add value, want to make an impact, and this is definitely the industry to do that in. So great points there. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and put the panel on pause for a second. Any of the students that are on right now, if you have questions, please feel free to type them in right now. We have about 15 minutes left, so if we have some time, we will get to those questions. To provide you with some time to kind of think about questions about the program specifically, or maybe for the panel as a whole, we can kind of work through those if we have some time. To give you some time to think about that, I want to ask each of the panelists, why JBS? Out of all the companies right now, out of all the companies that you talk to at career fairs, as you're on LinkedIn and companies reach out to you about other opportunities, you guys are a hot commodity for sure. So why JBS? Why is this the company that you've chosen to start your career with, and why is this the company that you continue to choose? Jimmy, are you still on? Oh, all right, Mariah, we'll go to you.
So I was like, I don't see him anymore. I mean, honestly, it was a really easy decision for me. JBS, the size of the company, the diversity of the company, it screamed opportunity to me, and the fact that they were willing to invest in me before not even, knowing how much I knew. They didn't care how much I knew or how much I didn't know. Humility is being one of our values. Took me in open armed and taught me everything I was willing to learn. I'm a firm believer. I grew up, on a farm working, and we were taught if you work hard now, you'll be paid off and you will be rewarded later. And, I think JBS is right aligned with those. If you're willing to work hard and, learn by doing, then you'll be rewarded and you'll be successful with your career and you'll move pretty quickly. Like we had talked about before, I never thought my career path would look like this, but I wouldn't take anything back or redo anything. I'm really, really happy, and I've been happy my whole 4.5 years with the company.
So I had no idea what I wanted to do after college. So at the career fair, I went and talked to everybody. I really liked about JBS, the trainee program, where I got another year to kind of see what am I kind of good at in the real world? What can I help with? Where can I make a career? Another thing was JBS, I did some research on all the companies before I went and talked to them. They continue to grow. So right before the career fair, they had actually just purchased 2 pork plants from Cargill. So that was another 40,000 head a day. And if you look back at overall, JBS continues to acquire companies. And also, since I've been here, they promote from within a lot. So that's another reason that retention is, they don't pull a lot from the outside. They kind of like it, the JBS values, the JBS way. So they do continue to promote from within.
And then for me, just adding on to what has already been said, definitely the culture and then the networking opportunities. So if I've got a question and I go to my manager or a peer and they don't know the answer, guarantee they're going to know someone who's going to be able to help me to figure out that answer. And people are just more than happy and willing to give whatever help they can provide you. And I think that really stands out as well. It doesn't matter what level someone is in an organization, like they're willing to sit down and walk you through things and help you out to help you be successful as well. And then I also really like just the employee development they've got. So we've got the trainee program, internship program, they've got a supervisor program as well. And then just regular workshops and leadership trainings throughout the year, which I think is it's so cool. And I love that they just really value their employees and continually bettering you as a professional. So yeah.
Great. Guys, it looks like we've received quite a few questions, but they're pretty individual to everyone's journey, specific journey. So I will go ahead and share my contact information so that each of you can follow up with me with your specific questions. And then there will also be a link to look at what opportunities we have available right now between the internship and management trainee program. I did get an email from Jimmy. He got kicked off. He had to go back to work. So Mariah, Tom, Michelle, I want to thank you all so much for sharing your experience with everyone. I hope there was value in this for the students that are on here as they're looking at what companies there are, kind of weighing out their options and how they want to build their career. And hopefully we find a match here with JBS, Pilgrims, Plumrose. We have some great companies here and we have some great opportunities. So thank you so much to the panelists. I will go ahead and share my contact information now. And like I said, if you have any specific questions, want to apply, here is the link where you can do that. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.